The night her husband died, the kerosene lamp refused to go out. It flickered and hissed like it was angry at the darkness, like it knew that once it surrendered, the house would become unbearably quiet. Amara sat on the floor with her back against the wall, her daughter asleep on her lap. The weight of that small, breathing body, the only thing keeping her from floating away. She was 27, a widow, and suddenly the head of a household she never asked to lead. Amara was an African woman in the practical sense of the word, resilient by necessity, hopeful by habit, exhausted by default. Her daughter Zuri was 3 years old and had the kind of smile that made strangers pause mid-sentence. That smile was the only currency Amara still trusted. After the funeral, sympathy dried up faster than the red dust after Harmattan. Bills did not respect grief, hunger did not care about widowhood, and landlords, as Amara quickly learned, had no souls, only calendars. She sold vegetables in the market during the day and cried into her pillow at night. Sometimes Zuri would wake up and wipe her tears with her tiny hands, whispering, "Mama, don't cry." That was when Amara felt the full weight of failing while trying her best. Then one evening, while borrowing her neighbor's phone to check messages, because data was now a luxury item, she saw a familiar name, Daniel K. Her heart skipped like it recognized an old song. Daniel was her classmate from university, the one who sat 2 rows behind her and always smelled faintly of mint, the one who left for the United States years ago and slowly faded into the category of people life carried away. His message was simple. "Amara, is this really you?" She stared at the screen for a long time before replying. Pride argued. Hunger won. Their reconnection was cautious at first. Updates, condolences, long pauses. Then honesty spilled out, the way it always does when someone listens without interrupting. Daniel didn't ask too many questions. He didn't give motivational speeches or quote scripture like a motivational calendar. He just helped, quietly. When he suggested she come to America to start again, Amara laughed. The kind of laugh that says, "That's a nice joke. Now let's return to reality." But reality apparently had other plans. The paperwork moved faster than her disbelief. Daniel never made it feel like charity. He framed it as strategy, opportunity, temporary. Leaving Zuri behind was the hardest thing she had ever done. She left her daughter with her mother and sister, people she trusted because society said she should. She hugged Zuri so tightly that the child protested. "Mama, you're squeezing my future husband," Zuri complained. Amara laughed through tears and promised to come back soon. She did not know that promise would haunt her. America was loud, lonely, and smelled like ambition and microwave food. Amara worked 2 jobs. She sent money home religiously, school fees, food, clothes, everything. Every transfer was a prayer wrapped in numbers. But slowly the phone calls changed. Zuri's voice sounded thinner. Her laughter came less often. Excuses piled up. "She's fine," her sister said too quickly. "Children exaggerate," her mother added. When Amara asked why Zuri was no longer in school, the explanations became creative, like bad fiction written under pressure. Meanwhile, Daniel remained steady, present, patient. Love grew between grocery shifts and midnight conversations. It wasn't dramatic. It was safe. It was the kind of love that shows up with soup when you're sick and doesn't announce itself. They married quietly. No drums, no aunties, no negotiations over goats or colonnuts, just vows and relief. Daniel traveled often for work, conferences, consultations, boring adult things, as Amara called them. On one trip, he told her he was going to Africa. "I'll check on Zuri," he said casually. Amara felt her chest loosen. "Thank you." He did not tell her everything. Daniel arrived quietly. No announcements, no big man energy. He went to the neighborhood like a stranger, observing, listening. He found Zuri. She was thinner, quieter, carrying water that was too heavy for her age. When he asked her name, she said it softly, like she was used to not being heard. He documented everything. The neighbors talked. Neighbors always do. The first thing that broke him wasn't what he saw. It was what Zuri didn't do. She didn't run when she saw him. She didn't smile. She didn't ask for sweets or money, the way children usually do with strangers. She just stood there, barefoot on hot ground, clutching a yellow jerry can almost her size, eyes lowered like she was apologizing for existing. He asked gently, "Why aren't you in school?" She shrugged. Not the dramatic kind, just a tired roll of the shoulders, like someone who had learned that explanations were useless. "Auntie said school is for children who eat well," she said. "I don't eat well." Daniel wrote that down. His hands shook. Over the next few days he watched. Zuri woke up before dawn, not for school, for chores. She swept the compound while other children slept. She fetched water again and again, even when the sun became cruel. If she spilled a little, she was shouted at, loudly, publicly, like shame was part of the punishment. He recorded the dates, the times, the voices. He noticed her clothes, too small, fraying at the seams. Yet her aunt's children wore new outfits every Sunday. Bright colors, clean shoes. Once Daniel watched Zuri ask quietly for food in the afternoon. "Didn't you eat in the morning?" her aunt snapped. Zuri nodded. She had eaten. A handful of soaked Gary. That was breakfast. That was lunch. Dinner was hope. That night, Daniel noted that the remittance money had arrived that same morning. He wrote that down too. The worst part wasn't the hunger. It was the words. "You're a burden. If your mother didn't abandon you, you wouldn't be here. See how you're shaped like suffering." Zuri absorbed those words like they were lessons. She flinched at sudden movements. She apologized when other people made mistakes. She spoke softly, as if volume itself was a crime. One evening, Daniel sat near the compound pretending to be on a phone call. Zuri passed by carrying a pot that was clearly too hot. It slipped. It didn't break, but the shouting did. He recorded the audio. Every insult, every threat, every moment a child was made to feel smaller than her years. Later, when he gently asked Zuri why she never cried, she said something that stayed with him forever. "If I cry, they say I'm manipulating them like my mother." That night, Daniel didn't sleep. He documented the missed school records, the neighbors' testimonies, the receipts that didn't match the child's condition, the fear in her eyes when adults raised their voices. By the time the authorities arrived, his file was thick, organized, calm. Justice, unlike revenge, requires patience. When the arrests happened, the same people who said family matters should stay inside the family suddenly remembered that laws existed. Extended family members gathered like confused chickens. "This one that looks like Oyinbo? Who is he? Why was he asking questions like police? Wait, did he say stepdaughter?" Silence fell, then disbelief, then drama. Elders gasped, aunties clutched their wrappers, uncles cleared throats that could not swallow guilt. "No one told us she was suffering like this," one elder said. Daniel looked at him politely. "She did," he replied. "You just didn't listen." When Amara returned home a week later, the village buzzed like gossip had discovered caffeine. Elderly uncles cleared their throats. They came in waves, not together, because unity would have required honesty, but in carefully timed visits, phone calls, and voice notes that all strangely used the same script, as if someone had printed a family manipulation manual, Volume 1. Amara hadn't even finished unpacking her bags when the first aunt called. She didn't ask how Zuri was. She sighed dramatically instead. "Amara, we are begging you. Remember they are your blood." Blood. Amara stared at her sleeping daughter, her ribs still too visible, her breathing finally calm. She wondered, quietly, how blood could starve blood and still ask for mercy with a straight face. The next day, an uncle arrived in person. He didn't sit. He paced. Pacing always meant guilt was about to be dressed up as wisdom. "You know the police don't understand our culture," he began. "In our days, children were corrected." "Corrected," Amara nodded slowly. "With hunger?" The uncle cleared his throat. "You know, things are hard." "Yes," Amara said. "For Zuri especially." He changed tactics. "If your late husband were alive, would he want his daughter to send her grandmother to prison?" The room went quiet. Daniel stiffened, but Amara lifted a hand. "My husband," she said evenly, would have buried this whole family with his bare hands if he saw what they did to his child. So please don't summon him for emotional blackmail. He rests in peace. Let him. The uncle suddenly remembered he had an urgent appointment. The phone calls multiplied day after day, and it was exhausting for Amara. End of part 1. Please watch out for part 2.